We're here with Just One, and we're just sitting here kicking it. You know, Zuberi.
Zuberi.
Me and this brother go back over 15 years. I would say almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And this is just one of a many series of interviews that I'll be doing. Stories about people that are making some serious transformations here in Nashville, in the country, and abroad. I'm just fresh from Belize. I've been back a year this month, and it's crazy. You know, warm weather, cold weather, but not so cold as New York. And it's just good to be back, man. Good to be back to build with a brother that I haven't talked to, you know, in depth in a long time. And you know, a lot of people don't know who you are, Jay. I mean, you know, I know what I know, but a lot of people don't know who you are as an artist, and you know, as a person. And you know, I would just like to ask you a couple questions, man. Like, you know, like, how did you get started, man? How did you get started in the industry, man? And for you folks that don't know, you know, Jay is like the one of the baddest lyricists that I personally know. You know what I mean? When I think of Jay, I think of Rakim.
Appreciate it.
You know, I think of some brothers that just kind of put it down. I think of Immortal Technique. You know what I mean? Way before this mumbo jumbo Lil Wayne stuff. You know, God bless him. It seemed like he might be on his way out any minute now. But just tell us about Jay, the artist, the musician, man, and tell us how you got started.
Let me see. At a young age, I've always been fascinated or surrounded by music. My mother played a lot of soul music, Bobby Womack, you know, Brothers Johnsons and whatnot. And at the age of 7 is when I had the courage enough to enter a local talent show. My mom entered me into the talent show. I had a wonderful time. I came in second place. But ever since that show, I've been kind of fixated on that feeling that I had. And a few years went by, and I ran into the Rakim CD, Bambaataa CD. Yeah, those two were the cornerstones that really just sealed the deal for me for this. It's like I have to do this. So ever since that age, I was wondering how could I escape my background, which was Knoxville, Tennessee. You know what I mean? It's kind of an oppressive place.
Mm-hmm.
So, started breakdancing. I was also an athlete at the time because I have an athletic background in my family. And then I had problems with people that I was in the group with. Won't mention no names. And when the group broke up, they told me that I would not be anything without them. So at first I kind of believed it, like, wow, I just needed these dudes to be a success. But really it was the motivation that I needed for me to get to this point where I'm at now. So I was determined to be successful. And I mean successful as far as spirit, not successful in financial means. Because I'm not really a wealthy person now, but the wisdom that I've acquired over the years, I wouldn't trade it for anything right now. And as an artist, I feel like I'm a conduit to use my craft to kind of like convey a spiritual awareness, a universal awareness. I feel like I'm a warrior, compassionate about the craft, and I'm a father, and I just want to do my part in help building a better legacy for the future.
Man, that's interesting, man. Because a lot of times when we think of artists, let's just put it out there. Back in the day, when you thought of an artist, it was very similar to maybe an athlete. You knew that they could perform well, but you didn't necessarily get a chance to know who they were as a person. You know what I mean, with their foundation. Now, if you go back to the '60s, we had some real powerful people coming up and during those times, but that was different. But overall, in the norm, people just kind of willy-nilly in their approach with music and how they see things. You talked on how you got started. You touched on that. You also talked about who influenced you. Talk a little bit about the spiritual side. And I say spiritual side because that's the clear distinction from religious. Tell us on the spiritual side what happens when Jay, the lyricist, comes to fore.
On the spiritual side, it's a feeling that I can't really explain, but when I do, as far as creating the process, my writing process, it's usually motivated by a song, or it could be anything, because life is a lyric. And when I get that feeling, it's nothing that I can articulate it. It's like all my chakras are open, and metaphors and similes just come out of the air. Words just come out of the air, and my mind, it seems like it's a second nature for it to compartmentalize the metaphors that come out of the air.
Mm-hmm.
And hence, that's why I say that I'm more so a conduit. I think it's a difference between an artist that has to sit down and say, well, I'm a sit down artist. I'm gonna sit down and write this song,
mm-hmm.
versus an artist that just writes from a stream of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an artist that writes from a stream of consciousness. So basically, I obey the universal laws or the universal feelings that I'm getting, the connectivity that I have with myself and the universe.
That's deep. That's deep. Is that your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, it's all good.
That's cool.
It's all live here, boys and girls, men and women. And that's deep, man. So, that segues to another question is how do you see the music industry? And when I say the music industry, I want to narrow that down. The people who could be within your realm as a lyricist, but unfortunately fall into a different realm as artists, as rappers or as hip hop artists. What's the temperature, man? As a griot and as someone who's been in the game for a while, what's the current state of hip hop right now, man? What's going on?
The current state, in my opinion, as far as what I do, brothers like myself are far and few and kind of obscure. We have a huge responsibility as far as keeping the craft and the spirit of this music alive. The industry itself is falling apart because it promotes death, and we are a lively people, and I think the industry is pretty much done ran this game into the ground, and they're suffering their own demise at this point. I'm not financially successful by far, and I'm older now, and some people question me, why do you still do what you do? I feel like I have a social responsibility to share a feeling of confidence, of kindred confidence, that we all are of a higher cause and principalities and a higher universe that we need to adhere to. So that's kind of why I still do what I do, because it's much bigger than financial gains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
That's deep. That's deep. Thanks for sharing that. So clearly, you've already answered one of my other questions was, what was your mentality or mindset back in the day as opposed to what it is now? And as I listen to what you're saying, and as I reflect on my own personal growth over the last 20 years, and definitely I know you have grown over the last 20 years that it seems like it's much more refined. You know what I mean? It's much more focused, and I like the fact that, you know, success is not, in my world and your world, is not determined by how many dollar signs you have attached to your name. You know what I mean? Success as fathers, success as human beings in this space, man, in this crazy space, you know. But as you taking this walk, man, what do you think has been one of your biggest turning points that is keeping you going, is keeping you excited about what you're doing as a lyricist? That's one facet. We haven't talked about it. Maybe it's the time to talk about it. You're also an actor.
I do a little bit of acting.
Yeah, you do a little bit of acting, and I think you write a little bit of poetry, of course.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that too.
Okay, all right. So, what has been your biggest turning point as a lyricist over these many years?
Turning point.
As it relates to, this was an aha moment that says, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I've had many points like that.
Okay.
You know.
So you've had several big turning points.
You know, I've had many pinnacle points to where I'm like, yeah, I love doing this, and it's been many points where I've been down in the valley, like, why am I still doing this? But it's something. It's a calling that's beyond my understanding or comprehension on why I still do it sometimes. And as far as the rewarding aspect of it, I like to see people excited and feeling electric about themselves, and I like being a part of helping to cause them to feel that way. But I would say the biggest turning point for me was when I was like 15 or 16, where I performed for the Tennessee School of the Deaf, and they appreciated the music unbureaucratically. They just enjoyed the vibe. I mean, the irony of it was it's a school for the deaf, but they feel the vibration, and that's what I really want people who can hear, is to feel the spiritual vibration and feel electric, and then the unity takes care of itself when you feel and you bask in that feeling. So it was the Tennessee School of the Deaf. I was like, okay, regardless of what happens and what my future is, I have to go forth. This is definitely part of my mission to do this. So that was the biggest moment.
How did that opportunity come into fruition? Did somebody approach you, or just right timing, or? During the time I was in teenage years, I was playing ball. I also was doing music or hip hop, breakdancing. At the time, it was that's during the days of a rapper and two MCs, and it was kind of popular at the time. So, coming from a small town, there was a lot of groups that were trying to do it at the same time. So there was a lot of shows that was going around locally, and we so happened to run into a group called Z-Force, and they were a little older than we were, and they had like the popular connects to do these venues, and they had one at Tennessee School of the Deaf, and asked if we want to open up for them, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I know a lot of people may not know this, but I think you've shared with me a story of some ways in which you were giving back, working with some youth here in Nashville who may have aspirations of going into the music industry. Could you speak a little bit about that? Because I think that's an interesting program.
Yeah, it's called the Inner City Music City. No, it's called the Music City Inner City. The Inner City Music Program. Joe Johnson Projects, McKissick Middle. A friend of mine by the name of Angela McCrary. She's the supervisor of the program, and The program consists.
Is that Marcus' sister?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny.
All right.
They got that. But anyway, yeah, that's funny. You're a funny guy.
We'll edit that part out. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, Amax. But she's the supervisor, and the program is centered around teaching the inner city youth how to arrange, mix, master, engineer, write, and compose their song. And their curriculum for that summer program is for them to put a music project together at the end of the program, and it's been going on for the past 3 or 4 years now. And I'm happy to say that it has a full-fledged, state-of-the-art studio inside of McKenzie.
So this is something that is still moving forward. It's still popping.
It's still popping, but we need more money, to make the project bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, believe in y'all kids, man.
Okay.
Help us out.
That's cool, man. So let's dive into maybe some of the projects that you can share, because I know you're involved in a lot of different projects, but some of the projects that you want people to know about that you're working on.
Actually, right now I'm trying to revamp or relaunch my website.
Okay.
JustOneOnline.com. Trying to get people to see the whole discography over the years. The first album was Just One Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Second album is in stores now, called Imagine That, the second premiere featuring Just One. And I'm currently working on my third project called Infectious to the Third Power. I am also about to drop another video and do a full-length version of the movie Keyed, aka Kareem.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about that. I mean, because I saw a little trailer of it, and I was like, man, this is crazy.
Keyed is well, Cream is what it's called. It's called Cream, Sex, Lies, or Betrayal. It's pretty much a black erotica, and as it is what it is, sex, lies, and betrayal. And it's going to be kind of filmed with a Pulp Fiction type twist, and it's going to be very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Very. Let's see. How can you say this movie is? It's intoxicating.
Yeah, cause just watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, this is not something I'll be taking my girls to see. However, me and wife might want to check it out on date night. Just for the folks that's listening. This is not one of your Barney flicks. You want to check. This is not Oz.
No.
This is a little bit something different.
It's more like PG-21.
Right. Right. I hear you, brother.
Yeah.
So I know as a writer, do you see yourself down the line and as a lyricist getting into film from the perspective of you being the one that's behind the lens?
Yes, sir. A friend of mine, we've been working on a project for the past 10, 15 years now. Have this huge idea. He, my brother, and I would definitely plan to get behind the camera and write these scripts out.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely in the very near future.
And I know you can't go into it, but it's more of documentary type films, or would there be more of an entertaining type, like more of something what you're seeing with the Keys? Because we got so much stuff out. You and I, we're in our young 40s. We're still young, but we remember when Spike came out, when his movies came out, and just for GP, you would go to Spike stuff because, man, it was Spike, and then we didn't have too many black film directors out there. And since Spike, there's been Singleton. There's a lot of people that are out there, doing things. What type of genre of film do you see yourself in? I know I don't mean to put you in a box, and I won't do that, but what types of genres do you see yourself being involved in?
Well, right now we're very much into the documentaries. Big on edutainment.
Yeah.
We're big on like suspense thrillers. Mysteries.
Right.
That you can learn from, that has a gist behind the movie that that can stick with you, but also is twisty enough to keep you on the edge of your seat. So we plan to get into like a lot of mystery thrillers, documentaries, musicals as well. Definitely musicals.
Man.
And maybe get into a little bit of historical documentation as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that's well deserved, and I know in Nashville, aka Cashville, there's a lot of stuff going on that we, may not be involved in directly or indirectly. But I'm curious to know. You bring up another question. Are there spaces, officially or unofficially, where the artists come together and build and talk about potential projects, or just sit back and relax here in Nashville, or is that still something you got to get when you go out of town?
Well, actually, it was a venue that my brother and I and a close friend of mine named Keno Hill, we facilitated a few years back, that we're trying to refacilitate that the venue that we had called Soul Hop.
Soul Hop. Okay, tell us about that.
Soul Hop was a venue, a live entertainment venue, kind of like what you call it, theater dinner, theater dinners or dinner restaurants or whatnot, where you can eat and enjoy a live show.
Right.
Where we will have every genre is every genre besides gothic, I guess, or grunge rock, was allowed to come on the stage and do their thing, as long as it's feel good music. Some things went wrong financially, so we're currently trying to re-put that back together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because the reason I asked, there's so much power that comes from the artists and the people who surround the artists. Because a lot of times people may not be artists per se, but they have an interest in art and they have an interest in making a difference. And sometimes it's hard to get all these people together, and sometimes it's just something as simple as having people together that brings this synergy for something brand new that people maybe didn't think of. And it kind of takes away the pressure of being in a meeting frenzied environment, because everybody's busy. I noticed this Nashville's like any other city. You got people who live in Madison, but then you got somebody else living way in Antioch, and then you got certain people that just don't go in certain areas. They'd be like, that's too far. I might do that on the weekend, but I ain't coming out to Madison. That's too far. I ain't going out to Franklin, man, unless I'm picking up a check. Right. So, it's one of the things coming back to Nashville after being gone for 18 years. I'm thinking about, how do you keep the energy flowing? How do you get people together of like mind? So it's good to know that you're working on trying to bring that back.
It gets difficult at times, I will admit, but I have a great support system. No man is an island. I have a strong kindred musical family around me, and they usually keep me afloat. But I think that Nashville will be a much more affluent city if we will, creatively, we would just get rid of some of the barriers, the cliquish barriers that we have. Because it's rich, very rich in musical talent. It's not country music only. It's far beyond that.
Right.
So, and ironically, that kind of gets me down. But at the same time, it's the drive that makes me want to go even harder to make sure I play my part in making the unity of us as a people a success.
Mm-hmm. So with that said, like, say if I was a striving artist, right? Rather, I want to go into entertainment as an actor or actress, or I want to be a lyricist, or I want to be a director. From where you sit, from what you know about this city, and you've been abroad and been throughout the country too. What are give me maybe the top three keys of wisdom for the up and coming artists to thrive in this industry?
First of all, believe in yourself. Never quit. Because there's going to be times to where you feel depressed and you ask yourself, like, why am I even doing this? But you're doing this because it's who you are. So stay steadfast in being that person, be it up or down situations, because the ebb and flow of life, you're going to get a little bit of everything. Be honest to your craft. I think an artist should write or do their own craft. You know, I respect ghostwriters or whatnot, but like if you came to me to write a song, I would ask you to attempt to write it yourself first, because you seem to appreciate your craft more so than somebody else writing it for you. And the third I would say is stay strong in your lane. Be confident in being yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be different from what everybody else is doing. It's a much more rewarding road if you just stick to being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important thing. And don't compromise yourself for anything.
Yeah, you know, those are some great jewels. And as you was talking, I was thinking about myself and other people I know, because unfortunately, a lot of times we do compromise. You know, for the game of life, we do say, I can't do this because I gotta have this trinket here. And you know, my question now is like, is that so? Do you really have to compromise in that way? And I think what brothers like you are showing is that no, you don't. You can still stand on your own too, and have your health and your wealth without selling your soul to the D. You know what I mean? I ain't talking about Detroit. So it's just man, it's so good and refreshing, man, to come back home and see brothers standing on their own too, and not just surviving, man, thriving. You know what I mean? Because you still got your peace of mind, you still got your talent, you got all these innate things that can't nobody take away from you, man. And I just think it's important that whether you be young or old or in the middle, that people can still see themselves transforming, still see themselves as being able to accomplish their goals, you know, and then be unapologetic and don't make any excuses for not following through on their goals, man.
That's it.
You know, tell us a little bit about, and I know we can talk about this. Tell us a little bit about where you see yourself. We're in 2013, I think, the last time I checked this morning. So 5 years from now, if Jay is on a celestial plane, which I know he will be, you know what I mean? You know, we know that things will be popping. What are some of the things you hope to see coming to fruition between now and the next 5 years?
More health and happiness for everybody all over the world. A more compassionate world. No more tyranny. A liberated world. Self-resourceful world. and myself musically, hopefully I'll be a cornerstone to help as many people as I possibly can in their crafts or whatever, to keeping them going on in the future, and reestablishing all kindred spirits all over the world, man. World travel, speaking events, film, entertainment, dance, culture. I plan to be a bigger conduit or a catalyst for that in the next 5 years. Hopefully intergalactically. Straight up.
I like that, brother. I like that. So it seems like you have a lot of energy and you're very focused with it. It also seems like, that from that you probably gravitate a lot of energy towards you as well. And so the balance is to be yourself and to help without being pulled down into the cesspool.
Oh, then you said a mouthful with that.
How do you deal with that? Where you might have old friends that you see and you might want to kick it with, but all in all, because you're not on the same page, not that you're better than them, but your interests are just different and their interests may conflict with you being progressive and productive. How do you deal with that?
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
A lot of diplomacy, compassion for whatever their problem is, and then having discernment at this point to know when not to let myself get too involved or become that person's emotions to where I won't be able to help them resolute whatever it is that they're going through. But that wisdom took a while to acquire, a long while. And that's pretty much it. And if I can't, I'll do the best in my ability to help them out without becoming a part of whatever it is. If I can't help them, I will send them to somebody else that can help them definitely. So that's it.
That's some good advice. Now, we haven't talked about, the people who are like genetically related to you, you know what I mean? So a lot of people might know this, man. You also have a talented brother, man. Tell us about your brother. I understand he's back in town now, and I think he's a bull because I'm a bull. So the Taurus, the bull, we can be good to get along with most of the time. Are you guys working on some projects together?
Oh yeah, my brother's a powerhouse, man. Solid dude. I'm lucky to have a brother like that. Very, very lucky. He is a writer, to say. He is a film writer. He's a rhyme writer. He's a teacher. You know what I'm saying? He's a well-rounded dude. Very, very powerful. Very, very talented. Very intelligent and focused. And outside of him being my blood kin, he's a kindred spirit.
Right.
Very, very thankful to have him.
Now, do you have any other siblings?
No.
Okay. But you're the oldest, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I know that mom's just happy seeing both of her sons back in the same area.
Yeah. Mom's, that's our best friend. And she is the reason, a big reason of why we are what we are today. That's my best friend right there.
So back in the day, mom's was the one who if anybody who had your back, she was definitely one who had your back.
Moms and grandmoms.
Now, is your grandmother still with us in this realm?
No, sir.
Okay.
She passed away a little while back, but she's sitting right before you now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because I know for me, I have a younger sister. I always wanted a brother, and I find myself in this day and time having extended family as brothers. You know what I mean? But we all get our cards dealt the way they're dealt.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about a lot of different things. I think it's real interesting to understand that, although we have certain paths that we're in, is that we have to leave a legacy. And so, when you think about leaving your legacy in this space, in this realm, what are some of the things that you want to leave with us?
Electricity,
Mm-hmm.
excitement, zeal, unrelenting drive, and inevitable truth.
Mm-hmm.
That that there's never an end to this. That's pretty much it, man.
So you feel like you're living your legacy now?
In some ways, yes.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, somebody asked me, if you passed away, would you consider yourself a success? And I couldn't hardly answer the question because I was measuring it in the form of how many accolades or how much money I had. But today I would say yes. It would be a resounding yes, because I know that I have at least motivated at least one person to help somebody else the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that.
That's cool, brother. Unless you have any other things you want to share with the world, man, we're going to bring this to a close. And I definitely want to follow up and talk to you again, because I know you got a lot of projects that you're working on. And I just want to say keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Oh, man, Zuberi. Just one. Just one planet, just one love, just one life. Remember that we are all we got.
And where else can we find you online, brother?
JustOneOnline.com, TuneCore.com, iTunes.com, Just One Thomas at Facebook.com, Just One at Twitter.com, Just One Thomas at ReverbNation.com.
And there we got it, folks. It's a wrap. Peace and love.